Okay, hit me with it again.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, movie theaters are back. It was so over, but now we're back. We've been saved by Inside Out 2 and Twisters apparently have come to save the day from what was the abysmal weekend of Furiosa and what was there an animated one that
Garfield.
like they both
I think
Yeah.
it was a Garfield movie, and that was like Memorial Day weekend, I think, which
Yeah.
usually is like busy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I like the Barbenheimer like dichotomy now that we have to like do this with every weekend release. We have to I guess people aren't really doing it with Twisters and Inside Out too.
Yeah.
But
There's
yeah.
Despicable Me 4 as well. I still can't believe that there's that
Oh,
many.
I I think we've talked about this. I did not hate Rise of Gru.
Oh, okay. I think yeah, that
I
sounds familiar. I haven't actually
I
watched any of them in full, so I can't actually comment.
Rise of Gru had some moments. What did I give it? I feel like I feel like I gave it like 3.5.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
I was
dude.
gonna joke and say that, and like
I
try to besmirch you, but
I I think I did. What man?
self besmirch.
It's Despicable Me. That's right. No, there's Despicable Me too. The way that they label these things. No, that's not even it.
And then there's Minions, and then there's Minions 2: The Rise of Gru. I think that's what it is.
What on earth?
I don't know. They might, but I don't know if any of the Despicable Me movies have like subtitles.
Why do they label these this way?
I don't know. It's like the Rambo series for
Yeah,
children.
I don't understand it.
No.
I'm trying Minions Rise of Gru. There it is.
Okay.
Josh gave it 3,
Wow.
but I'm wondering if it's because he's got kids.
Maybe.
I didn't rate it. I'm a coward. I saw it and I didn't rate it.
Oh. That's funny because I've been watching um I didn't last week, but the week before I went on a streak. I watched like 10 Godzilla movies.
I saw that.
um and I was just getting into them. And then I was like I just kind of want to keep doing this, and like there's still so many I haven't seen, and I just decided to I'm going to just try to make my way through all of them. Since I've never done that before. But it's funny. I was some of the old ones, the Showa ones, like from like the 60s and 70s, and I saw that Josh had reviews on them as like 1.5 stars, and it was like, watch with kids. It's really dumb. Basically that. So I don't know. There
Yeah,
must be some real substance to Despicable Me, I guess, or Minions, whichever one it was.
yeah. That's my favorite when I'm like looking at a movie that I love, and 9 times out of 10, Josh has reviewed it and gives it like 1.5 stars. I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, yeah, I guess. Don't bring that one up, I guess.
I want that to happen
Yeah.
in the show.
How juvenile.
um yeah, when we started getting Despicable Me 4, the first guy I sold a ticket to on like the first day was like, can I get a ticket to, or can I get, he was like with his family, he's like, can I get some tickets to Minions? And I was like, Despicable Me 4? And he's like, yeah, whatever. And then I was like, oh, maybe maybe I, maybe that was too much on my part. And then
You
basically I would say like 9 people out of 10 say like nobody says Despicable Me. It's so
Yeah,
interesting just
it's the
how
Minions movie.
yeah
Gru has been completely overshadowed by those little guys.
yeah everybody uses Minions. It's nuts.
Surprised they didn't go like Despicable Me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right there.
Yeah. I thought the same thing with Twisters. Mine was two isters.
Toosters,
Two isters. I thought that
twisters,
how they
and then
could
the third
pronounce
one
it.
could be twist throwers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I don't know where we go from there.
Yeah. Yeah, shit. No, I don't know. I think that's it.
There can only be 3.
Yeah. Welcome back, ladies and gents, to There Will Be Duds. This is episode 145?
50.
6?
54.
Oh my god. That's what I meant. And I am your co-host, TJ, and with me as always.
As always, I am Nick.
And as always, this is 155. I had to check.
Okay.
As always, we watched a movie, and that movie this week is Space Thunder Kids from some year, directed by some person. And it is allegedly about this. The Dark Empire is determined to conquer the universe and get rid of anyone who acts against it. The Space Thunder Kids, made up of 3 valiant youths, are responsible for patrolling the space and obstructing the invasion of the Dark Army. Dr. Sparta, a scientist, is pursued by the Dark Army after the devastation of his planet. He flees to the Earth and meets Dr. Rhodes, who develops advanced weapons for the Guardian Army. The Dark Army bombards the Earth aggressively and kidnaps Dr. Sparta and Rhodes. The Space Thunder Kids come to the rescue with the fighter robots, and together with the aid of the Guardian Army, they successfully save the 2 scientists and shatter the Dark Empire.
Well, there you
Is that
go.
true?
You don't even need to watch it. You don't need to watch it because it's all there on the back.
What's the
I don't.
what's the accuracy rating of the hit rate of that?
I don't know
plot
any
synopsis?
name of any character in this movie except for Sheila, who shows up at the end
Sheila.
with a weird robot toy daughter sister.
I don't know.
But the Dark Emperor is a bad guy. Please help them, Sheila. This is their battle alone, Sandy.
You're wrong. Once the Dark Emperor's super battleship is complete, we'll be history.
I will help you Earth humans, but only for my own reasons. Our conversation is over. Goodbye.
They introduced like 10 characters within the last 10 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
And it's
Great. Yeah.
It's so awesome.
You get like new characters added to the cast like every scene. There's so many bad guys.
There's a green guy, there's a blue guy, there's
and the whole like you piece it together at the end, and I guess you should be able to figure it, cuz so you watch this on YouTube, I'm assuming. I think that's probably like the only real way to watch it online.
Yeah.
So I decided for funsies, just to see if there was any difference, I watched it on my DVD copy.
Okay.
And I think the only difference, because does the YouTube version, does that just start with who is the Dark Emperor or whatever, where he's like raising his hands?
It started mid-sentence.
Like, yeah. Okay.
It starts in the middle of what he's saying.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very fitting for like the tone of this movie.
Yeah. It is a good intro. Yeah, in that way. Yeah, it's very fitting.
Prepare to be confused for an hour and 22 minutes.
Oh, my mighty minions! I have been waiting a very long time for this glorious moment! Finally, my new and most powerful army has been assembled. You will be invincible in battle. Through your victories, all the precious energy in the universe will be under my control, and all human resources will be mine. To direct and do as I wish, my will reign supreme. Now time to help you, my very life, to show your might and loyalty to me. Go forward into battle and destroy the miserable illusories, thereby ensuring me the complete and undisputed control of the entire universe.
The only difference is the DVD version starts with like a 4-minute trailer for this movie. Where it's mostly just like two or three scenes, just like one after another. Like it plays like one action scene for like a minute, and then another action scene for like a minute, and then another action scene for a minute. Not like edited any differently. It just kind of like plays them out, and then there's a voiceover over top of it. So that was fun, and also had to like confusion because this movie and like this whole series or whatever, it's not like not like a continuity, like same universe or whatever, but like this I mean like the stuff made by Joseph Lai and like IFD and stuff that like as a series, like they're all like it's like a fever dream because because of stuff like the movie starting in the middle of a sentence, or like animation being reused over and over again, characters being introduced every scene, but the movie acts like they've had like story up until this point. Like you were kind of they're like midway through their character arc, but it's the first time you're seeing them and it's 45 minutes into the movie.
There's a part that's great where it's Earth being attacked by the sort of like flashing Godzilla guy who just kind of he's like he flashes in and out and does destruction, and then there's like a gear up scene of like the titular Space Thunder Kids, I think it's them, like getting in the robot. They're like getting in the robot, and you know I'm watching this assuming like how movies work. This robot, it's like, okay, this is the threat. The legally distinct Godzilla is attacking the town. These kids in this robot are gonna fight him, and I got a pretty good laugh because the robot flies away from Earth and goes into space. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're not fighting the Godzilla. That blows up the same building twice while 50 of the same dude runs away from it.
Yeah.
The first shot of the movie is like, okay, so after like Dr. Doom's like from what does he say? There was a Letterboxd review that like made me laugh because it's talking about like from whatever to wristwatches. Like that's part of his like his monologue, like what he's going to control. So it starts out with that, and then it cuts to like guys in a ship, and it's just like dead airlock chamber air, just like you know, and they're sitting there silently. And then the TVs start going wee 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 wee, and they're like, the planet is right there. But like I noticed that like the shots, it pans over, you see this dude, and then another shot, it's the same shot but backwards. and they cut to like the dude sitting at the computer with the big screen behind him. They cut to him like 4 times in that opening. It's like it's great.
One that I noticed fairly early on that I had to rewind like twice because I was like, it confused me so much, and I've seen this movie probably 5 times now. It's the first, and you say the titular Space Thunder Kids, but which fucking ones are you talking about? Because so there's like 2 or 3 separate groups of 3 teenagers in the blue, red, the like ones in like the blue, usually like the legally distinct Gundam. Yeah. And then like the girl is in like the red. She's got like the red helmet. Yeah. And then the third one, which is either like a fat guy or a dweeby kid, is I think they're also
facial
blue.
Expressions were terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. The dweeby kid, you mean? His like
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the first time you get with like any makeup of the teenagers in the suits or whatever. They're like the girls saying something about like, oh, the risk of going out here. There's a high risk of, you know, danger, whatever. And they show like a wide shot, and there's fat guy, leader guy, girl, and then they're kind of like talking back and forth, and then she says that, and then it's kind of like a side view of her looking over at the fat guy responding to her, and the main guy is not there, but like they just showed them next to him before.
Jack, couldn't we search just a little while longer?
Are you serious or what? This is no joke, you know. The doc ordered us back, and that's just what we gotta do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Dr. Khan gave us an order to return, so here we go.
There's a lot of that. I decided to just stop writing notes like that down because you would write a
no
fucking
way
novel.
Yes, of like the inconsistencies and
Yeah.
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 I think near the end there was like 5. There was like because like they were all getting like electrocuted, and they used
Yeah.
that shot over and over.
Mhm.
Of them going like,
Yeah, and the like, lines like, yeah. There's tons of like shots of like you get a guy like sitting in a cockpit and he says something like the blue guy with like the like pencil mustache or whatever.
Yeah.
He's saying something like, I'm gonna kill you, and you see like through the window that he's in space, and then he like shoots, and then a ship on Earth or like in an atmosphere blows up, and they do that so much. Or like
they'll be flying through space in the background, and then it'll cut back to him, and it'll be like blue skies out this window.
That's like exactly what I mean. That's like everywhere in this. It's nuts.
We're constantly introduced to leaders of various armies. This movie is like almost entirely monologues. Like I feel like
It feels like
every time it's just like, I'm the general of so and so, and this is the most dangerous mission of all time, and only you can do it.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's like we kind of see this conversation over and over again, where it'll be like a general of some guy is like, but they all speak in these very like declarative statements about like, I am so and so of this federation of this planet, and you are my number one soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And then the number one soldier will be like, I've always been loyal to you. I'm ready for this mission, sir. Like every character, it's like monologue after monologue. It's brain rot. It was like brain rot to me after a while, where like I just it's such an assault of visuals of robots fighting and shit exploding. I watched this movie at 1.5 speed on YouTube, and it almost matched like the pacing of a YouTube poop sometimes. Like sometimes like with YouTube poops, a character will like kind of move in the same direction, and then it'll cut back and it'll move the other way. Like there's that weird uncanny way of moving that like they do in YouTube poop sometimes. That was like entirely present watching this at 1.5 speed.
That's awesome.
And I caught most of the dialogue. It kind of tightened it up a little bit.
Okay.
So it was more akin to like, I guess Speed Racer would be a good example, where it's like, I'm and I gotta go on the Mach 5 and I need to go now, like that like sort of like cadence of speaking.
Yeah.
It turned the movie into that, which I was like, okay, actually this is good now. Like
that could be kind of
it's
fun.
much more brisk.
Yeah, that's what I did have a thought partway through this, like what I hesitate to say that it would be like well, I'll say it would be better. It still probably wouldn't be good. But like a Dragon Ball Kai edit of this, which is the Dragon Ball Kai was like a re-edit of Dragon Ball Z, where they basically trim out the fat. You know how like there's the common like thing where it's like, oh, Dragon Ball Z is just like one episode is Goku going like and like charging up or whatever, people just yelling. Kai basically trims all that out, so it makes the fights a lot more brisk, and it just sticks to like the main story stuff. And I was like, because there's so much repeated animation in this, and just so much. Well, I can't just say unnecessary stuff, because then you would literally cut out basically everything. But it would be a lot more watchable, at least.
Yeah. I mean, to the movie's credit, I do feel like it is the perfect little kid movie. Where, like, I think as a child watching this, I feel like children, to a certain age, don't really give a shit about plot as much. Like, they could put this on and there'd be like a little bit of dialogue, and then it's just action, 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 action. A little bit of dialogue, action. And I could see this as like, for a child, I could see this being pretty entertaining for them. So I'll give the movie that, but it's still just like confusing as hell.
I mean, according to this, the DVD is copyrighted 2005. So I saw this when I was a kid.
Okay.
And I don't think I liked it then.
Okay. I'm thinking like maybe like 6 years old.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe. It's so confusing. It's so
It really
cobbled
is.
together. It's like a perfect example of this guy's style, or Godfrey Ho, which you've watched a couple of his stuff on stream. He's I don't think they actually are, but part of me like has like theorized that they're just the same person because they have a very similar, they just kind of, they're in the same arena or what, I don't know what word I'm looking for. They take stuff, they take foreign movies and they fucking cobble them together and create their own shitty movies out of them.
It almost seems very like Kung Pao, where it's like he took a movie, but I mean that's like doing it correctly, where you kind of take these, because like he does like convolute a plot from this movie, which who knows if, because like, well, you said you watched the film that Kung Pao was like sort of ripping off or like using footage from.
Yeah.
How closely were the two plots related between Kung Pao and that movie?
It came and went. There were some things that I was that I remember being surprised that were present in both.
Okay.
Like Betty being invincible because of the triangle things. It changes some, because I think in that Wimplo might be the main character, maybe, or no, there might be another one, but he's obviously not like Wimplo's a different character in the original one. No, I think he's like the rival guy to the main guy. I think that's what he is, but he's like, he can actually fight. He's not he's not like worthless
Trained
or
wrong
whatever.
on purpose.
Yeah, as a joke.
Yeah. because it's kind of like that with Space Thunder Kids, where a lot, because it's very clearly basically the same guy doing all of the voices for every character.
Yeah,
which I love that, but it's like he does a bad job at taking all eight of these movies and trying to merge them into one. Like, I don't know, there might be a way to do it, but how he does it is very confusing. I would say it's pretty ambitious. I would say maybe take two of these movies, two of them, and try to splice them together, and then maybe you got something. But he just goes for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a barrage of new characters and new scenarios and new monsters, which again leads to like probably the funniest line to me in the entire movie is right near the end, when I guess like the Dark General or whoever, like his forces surrender and they wave the white flag, and they're like shaking hands, and the one guy's like, that avoided a lot of unnecessary killing. It's meanwhile I just watched an hour and 15 minutes of like dudes getting exploded, like buildings melting. And I just love that they're like, wow, I'm so glad we came to this compromise. It really saved us from a lot of unnecessary killing.
Yeah, it's the not self-aware Starship Troopers ending, where remember they're all like arm in arm at the end, and they're like, when we're together, nothing bad can happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Okay, so I'm looking now, and apparently at least one movie that is credited directed by Godfrey Ho that I've seen, Ninja Squad, is produced by Joseph Lai. So they did actually, there is like a reason for that, like I guess crossover. They're both con artist. It's hard to tell like on Letterboxd because a lot of these, like the animated ones, I think they have like the original directors' names, so like whatever, like for instance, like this one that I've seen that I know as Defenders of Space,
Yeah.
is credited as Phoenix Robot Phoenix King, and it's directed by Jung Soo Young, but I'm sure that that's like the original like Korean director,
Right.
and not the new guy, the redo or whatever. And you go to Space Thunder Kids and Elton Reigns, and there's literally, you go to it and there's literally nothing else. There's no bio, there's no nothing. So
That sounds like a pseudonym.
I was thinking that through the whole, like, you get like, it's not super long, but you get your opening credits with like animators, production designer, like all that kind of stuff. It's like,
Oh, yours had the DVD has that?
oh, that one, the YouTube
No,
one
it
doesn't?
started in the middle of his monologue.
Yeah, I thought it was like during that or something, but
Maybe it did. Maybe
I
I didn't pay attention.
that's fair. But the whole time I was thinking they're all like American names, and I'm like, is this just 100% fabrication? Are any of these names real? Like, are these real? Because like
Todd Gonzalez.
yeah, basically. I was like, because I don't know, maybe this Korean studio in the 80s had some American named animators, but I doubt it. So who are these people? They didn't actually animate this because this was stolen from elsewhere.
Yeah. Production supervisors Joseph Lai, Betty Chan. Betty. Created and written by Chris Godunov. Key animators Edward Reeds, Jacob Ashley, Toron Kong. Okay. Also, the YouTube version is all in the left ear. So watching this with headphones on was like, it was again. It was like a
you were like
sensor-
this.
I ended up just like
yeah.
I
doing
ended
one
up
of those.
moving this cup off a little bit
Mhm.
to like kind of offset it because it was just like piercing right through my left ear. Yeah, I didn't even realize that there were any opening credits. Like,
yeah, because the dialogue is just so compelling.
I was moved. Yes.
Like, oh, this is a bad man. Yeah, and I've it's adding to the I think it's almost like better to like just watch one of these, which is why in retrospect I almost wish that instead of this we had done Solar Adventure, because I think that one's my personal favorite as far as like, you know, ironic enjoyment or whatever. And I think that one has a different name on Letterboxd too. It's like, oh shit, what is it called on there? It's called Robot King Sun Shark. I think that's the one that I think is like the best, or maybe it's just the one that's the most coherent. I do remember and it was probably that one, or maybe Raiders of Galaxy. That I remember being like, whoa, I can kind of follow this story, and it kind of doesn't lose the plot every scene. These like characters that, oh, this guy was in a scene before and now he's here again, and he's doing something else. Like, holy
The two things
shit.
are related to each other in some way.
Yeah. But what I was gonna say is like I think that it's almost better if you do just watch one, because I don't know, you were mentioning some plot elements, and like I feel like you have a better grasp of this movie because you haven't seen any of the other ones, where I like every time I watch one of these now, it immediately loses my mind, because they literally, like, you watch any of these other ones, you're gonna see not only recycled animation within themselves, but you're gonna see scenes from from this movie in other ones and vice versa. Like, I've seen the fucking blue mustache guy in like 4 different movies. I've seen the tanks rolling out scenes in like multiple, and I always worry every time I watch it because there's one in particular where the tank animation, just them like just rolling past the screen, is like 2 minutes long. And I'm always like, every time I get to that scene in one of these movies, because it's in a lot of them, I'm like, oh, is this the one where I have to sit through it for like 2 minutes? But no, thankfully in this it was like 20 seconds or something.
That was the play, watching it at 1.5 speed, because there were some scenes where it was just like, artillery or like military forces like moving out, and like that music just constantly playing.
Yeah.
I wonder if the music is original to the show or the movie, or if like
I wonder that too.
the guy who made it like kind of, I don't know if he commissioned music or if he like just probably stole generic, adventure action music
Maybe,
from somewhere, because like there were a few musical cues that you're kind of like, oh, okay, I should be paying attention to this.
Mhm.
Like anytime you see some group of kids in the mech, I don't want to ascribe any of them to Space Thunder Kids, because I feel like they only say Thunder Kids like once,
and it's near the end, I think.
and I don't remember which group they're talking to.
Yeah.
Because there is like a part where they're in like the sort of more, I guess, Gundam looking robot, the blue, the red, the yellow, the white, like that sort of like heroic one. But then there's another point where they're in like this one that has a crescent moon on his head, and he seems like darker and more, it seems more sinister.
Which I'm pretty sure in an earlier scene you hear one of the bad guys, one of the higher up ones, saying like, "Oh, we're going to combat their big robots with a robot of our own," and then it pans up, and I'm pretty sure it's that one. I'm pretty sure the one they show the bad guys having is that one. But then no, the kids fly up into it. And is that the one where they're like, "All right, let's go," and they get in their little spaceship and they literally just like take off from the ground and fly up and then just fly into the robot's chest. And then they pilot it.
There's just so many generic blue dudes.
Yeah.
With elf ears.
Yeah. There's the Tron stuff. There's those guys. I'm pretty sure the Dark Emperor is like the like white, the really pale guy with like the monocle or whatever. And then there's blue guy with the mustache. See, I'm already forgetting. I know there's like at least like 1 or 2 more kind of higher up. There's Sheila, which that's another weird thing is like I think even like the originals, like in Korea, if you watch these in Korea, not, so you're getting the actual whatever this was. Well, this is a bunch of different movies. Whatever these were originally called, I still don't know if they did. Like, it's weird that there are multiple groups of teenagers in like the same or very similar outfits and similar makeups. Like, again, the like handsome dark-haired guy,
right?
The girl, and then we'll just say like the comic relief character is the third one.
Yeah, that is like the formula.
Yeah. That's what makes it even more confusing, is because like the original Korean movies also seem to ape off one another and their styles, like with that stuff, or because there's Sheila who shows up at the very end, but if you remember before that, 20-30 minutes into the movie, there's these 2 like henchmen characters that get brought in. And there's one kind of like musclehead dude, and then the other one is like a long-haired like blonde lady, and I think she has an eye patch, but that's not Sheila. But they're basically the same character design.
They serve the same function.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see like if you take all of these movies, like the originals. Oh,
he was doing some spins.
if you take all of these movies, like the original ones, like the full movie, not like, intercut with other movies, play them all at the same time, I would be curious to see if they all have the same, like, sort of like pacing.
Yeah.
Kind of like, that thing where it's like, oh, if you go to like the 60-minute mark in any like popular movie, that's usually like when something big happens. Like that, like they say that about like Jaws. I don't know if it's 60 minutes or halfway through the movie, but like you can almost time it out where like at a certain point, that's when you see the shark, like the we're gonna need a bigger boat sequence.
Yeah.
So it's like I would be curious to see if all of these movies lined up, if they have the exact. It's like, putting two Nickelback songs against each other and they sync up eventually.
Yeah.
Just like watching these movies have the exact same pacing. It's like, oh yeah, this is the scene where the robot flies through the air, and this is the scene where like the arms and the legs all detach, and then he gets the sword out, and then they fight, and then it cuts to the general, and he's monologuing again. Like I wonder if there's just like animation farms that were happening at the time where they were like,
maybe,
it's like, okay, we can just like pump and dump these movies out. Like they all have because like you said, they all relatively follow the same structure. They have the same like character design. Where like, what were the popular animes of the time? Like, how old is like Cowboy Bebop or Neon Genesis Evangelion or like
those would have been after this, because even Space Thunder Kids is credited as being released 1991, which means that the animes or whatever had to be from I think on
IMDb. On IMDb for Space Thunder Kids, I believe it says edited from The Cosmos Conqueror. That's in 1981. I think 81. That's one of them.
Dang. Okay. Yeah, I found a list of let me see if I can get to it again. A list of all the ones. It's Savior of the Earth, which I think I've seen that one. Defenders of Space, I've seen that one. King Robot, Protectors of Universe, seen that one. Super Express Mazinger 7. Solar Adventure, that's a good one. Space Transformers, I've seen. Damn, I can't believe I didn't read this. I'm simultaneously impressed and depressed.
You're like the foremost expert of these now.
That I've seen like half of the ones that make up this. So Space Transformers, Micro Commando Diatron 5, Super Mazinger 3, and Iron Man Trio. Okay, here we go. All of the aforementioned movies are also ripoffs of other anime, like Mazinger Z. So I guess maybe Mazinger Z might be like a more legitimate anime. Oh yeah, and that's got like the... Well, I don't know that. I mean, like that... I don't know when this one came out. Oh, 72. So maybe that predates Gundam. But that's got like the blue, red, and white like Gundam robot guy on the front. So it's ripoffs of stuff like Mazinger Z and American cartoons like Transformers, Voltron, and even Mighty Orbots. And all but the last were separately dubbed by Joseph Lai as well. So he's also done Transformers and Voltron. That's awesome.
Okay, so yeah, Mazinger Z is a super robot manga from October 72 to 1973. So I guess that's been around for a long time. Like the sort of like fighting giant robot genre.
Yeah, that I wouldn't have said like that early. That's pretty wild. But I guess that's it. It is literally like maybe this is what was big. I mean, I guess you think of like Transformers, that was like at its height in like the 80s too, so
yeah.
And that giant fighting robots, so that I guess that was kind of like probably the main kind of anime at the time.
Yeah. What else? There was I was trying to note all of the funny faces that I saw throughout this. Because there are a few, like but the one that I think made me laugh the most
Wonder if
was it was like near the end.
okay, I wonder if it's the same one. 'Cause
They're
it
doing
was-
like the disc battle.
yeah, that's the Tron shit. I don't know if you've ever seen Tron, but that is like straight out of Tron. The way
like like they're
throwing the
discs
discs
at each other.
and the way that the like bad guy, he has that like weird helmet on. If you look up like the villains in the original Tron, it's like exactly the same outfit.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I'm pretty sure we're thinking of the same exact face because I thought it was awesome.
So you finally got in here. Let's see how good you really are.
Yeah, it's like a weird like like I did a stinky face kind of thing. It's so
Like-
weird because up to that point he comes in and he's like serious, like, all right, I'm gonna take you down, bad guy, and he's got like, you know, frowny like, serious face, and then that.
I dropped it in the chat, but
Yeah.
I like because that's
Yeah,
the element
hell
that makes me think of like a YouTube poop,
Right.
because he walks into the door and there's that dead air sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's like dead air for 6 seconds and it shows his face and then cuts back to him, dead air, and then he smirks and then he's like, so you finally got in here, let's see how good you really are, and then it's
No
pause
audio.
and then
Yeah.
and then he does the stinky face,
Uh-huh.
and it holds on that, and then like by the time it cuts back to him throwing the disc, he's more like, you know, heroic looking, but it's just like bizarre, and like all that stuff made me think of YouTube poops, especially watching it at 1.5 speed. That fight was very good that
Awesome.
fast.
Yeah, I like how in that fight too, they both just like, you know, he throws his disc and then the other guy blocks it. And then the other guy throws his disc and then he blocks it. And they do that like 2 or 3 times. And then he throws his disc and the guy blocks it, but then his thing breaks and he dies. Like there's no panache
The
or
disc
anything.
breaks and then he goes, ah, and
Yeah.
like, he goes down.
Yeah.
There's like another part shortly after that where it's like a guy on a giant screen and the screen gets broken and the guy's like, like he like destroying the computer screen kills him too.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
No, impossible, no!
Die, Dark Emperor!
The other like facial bit that I notice, and it's in the first half at least, and I think it's the trio with the dopey kid. So I think it's that group of kids, and they're like talking to like the professor guy, and I think it's just it's basically like we need somebody to go stop the Dark Emperor, and they're like, please give us this assignment, we won't let you down. But like as he's talking to them, it'll like cut to like their reaction, I guess, kind of. It's just like them like listening, and their faces will be like static for like a moment, just kind of like a flat like listening face, I guess. But then you'll see frames of like just random expressions that just like flash, like, and then just back to normal.
The dopey kid's face is also like they all have like varying levels, because it's like, other than like the hero, like the masculine hero, everyone else's faces are like varying degrees of melted candle.
yeah, pretty much.
Sometimes they also have like vaguely British accents, I've noticed.
Yeah, shoot, I meant to mention that. I wish I'd have written some of the lines down. Yeah,
There was one
some
that
of
I
them
had
come
to
and go.
rewind.
Okay.
At the very beginning, he's like doing like a transmission like on the computer screen, and she says, I think she's supposed to say, have you been able to identify the source?
Yes.
But it sounds like she says, have you been able to identify the sauce?
the sauce. Yeah.
During these last few days, we've had some strange interference from some unknown frequency. Have you noticed it, sir?
Yeah, it's been really strange.
Have you been able to identify the source?
I was like, the what?
Yeah. Yes. I'm glad you wrote that one down. That was a good one. Have you seen like the main like poster image? It's this cover.
Oh.
And like how like
Are any of those people in the
is that robot in the movie?
I don't think it doesn't look familiar.
There is a like a youthful male and female, but they don't really look like that. And then you go
No.
here on the back, also like that looks like way cleaner than anything in the movie, right?
Oh, 100% yes.
So on the back you get stills that look more like the quality of this movie.
Yeah.
They're kind of like blown out, saturated, but also none of these frames are in the movie.
I
think
don't
these-
recognize that guy on the
this guy.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
recognize him.
Definitely not. And then I think these guys, or at least that, it's kind of hard to see, but
Yeah.
I think those guys are in it, but this scene is not in it. And then I don't know. I mean, that middle one could be in there. Who fucking knows? It's like a robot in a ship. But I don't think it is.
Yeah, something about the way that like anime back then used to look. Sometimes it almost looks AI generated. Like the dude at the top that's like doing this with the way that his eyes are like sort of separated, the way that his eyes look, it almost looks like
And
if
they're
you were to
tiny.
like zoom in, it would look like AI generated eyes, just like kind of like it's so weird.
That's I kind of thought that while watching the movie too, with like all the like how you'll see a clip of anything. I don't know. I'm trying to be so specific, but you see a clip of somebody and it's like an AI thing, and it's them like doing, say it's the Will Smith eating spaghetti one, whatever. He's doing that,
Yeah,
and like,
sure.
but like how like his face will like continuously morph throughout the entire video.
Yes.
Like everything does. And that's kind of what this felt like, with like how every time you revisited the teenager group, they would be different. They would always be different. And they would be talking about like in very generic terms of like plot stuff, and it's like an AI prompt, like a basic AI prompt, and like how it would write a movie and the characters and stuff, and like plots, threads and whatnot just being picked up and dropped like every like 2 minutes. And then he's in it near the beginning, and then he comes back at the very end. The guy with like the huge like neck bulge.
Yeah.
Do
Airsoft fatty.
Yeah. Did you know that that's supposed to be a real person?
Who was it supposed to be?
It's supposed to be Kim Il Sung, who was the leader of North Korea at the time, and apparently he had like a huge neck tumor.
Oh.
I think I found that out last time I watched this, because I was just like, why do they have this guy with a huge neck bulge?
Oh man.
Wait a minute. This thing says, in one scene, an animation cycle of rolling tanks was looped for 5 minutes straight. Did I just totally zone out, and this is the one with the long tank scene? Because I swear it did not last that long on the DVD. But
I think the tank scene did last quite a while,
Okay.
and I was watching it at 1.5 speed, so it probably didn't. I think I did remark while I was watching it, I was like, God damn, this is taking a very long time.
yeah, I mean, yes.
and I think because like for me to notice it at 1.5 speed, I was like, this is insanely
yeah.
long.
Yeah. True.
Hold on, I'm scrubbing through it on YouTube. All right, so minute 5, minute 6, about minute 7. So it is like 2 minutes long.
Okay.
Which is funny that there's more screen time dedicated to that than like attempting to try to introduce any of these characters or like
Yeah.
connect any of like the various threads together to make even a remotely cohesive movie.
Because like the tanks moving is just so cool. It's so cool that it's
That's
more important.
That's the Glen or Glenda of this movie, where it's just like, you know, the sort of, because in that movie he like just spliced in like random stock footage that he found of like war stuff.
Oh
And,
yeah.
like, just like he just put that in there, but he had narration that sort of attempted to explain why he's showing war footage in this movie about a guy who likes to cross dress. But it's just like, oh, we got to pad this out, and like this is like the found footage, you know, or stock footage of this movie is just like the 2.5 minute long tank rollout scene.
Was it the same exact shot, or was it just like the scene of the tanks rolling out?
I mean, it seemed to go. It was like it started one area, and then it showed him kind of going down like a mountainside.
Okay.
And then it showed him like either going into a tunnel or going into some woods or somewhere. You know.
No, I know the shots.
I'm sure. That's a good. It's a good point.
Okay, so it isn't. So the one I'm talking about is it's literally like them along the mountainside where they kind of come and go from view. It's that shot, just that shot, for like 2 minutes. There's no change in shot. So that's the one I was thinking of. So I still hold that I don't think it was this one that I'm thinking of. But I don't know. Maybe I just dreamed about it. One of the times after I watched one of these.
Movie is kind of like a waking dream sometimes.
Yeah. Who knows
Especially
how many
with just like the colors.
Yeah, everything feels like this is my skinamarink, you know. This elicits that sort of feeling from me, but it's still not like nostalgia. I don't know, it's weird. Oh, okay. Yep. Okay, so well, I don't know if they actually really say this, but this says, apparently the 7-foot-tall, one-eyed, blonde space pirate badass vixen has a sister who is a 1-foot-tall robot pig creature named Sandy. Maybe she does say sister at one point.
She does say Sandy. I do have in my notes Sheila and Sandy.
Yeah, I do remember
like,
both of those names.
As soon as I heard names of characters, I had to write them down. Because otherwise no one is named or like identified in any way or form. So I'm just like, no way of keeping track of anybody.
That is crazy. I mean, I guess unless you count the Dark Emperor, I think they do say his name.
The Dark Emperor. I think maybe a couple of like the military generals will say their name or something like that before they, you know, send their cadets out into the battle or the war.
Yeah.
And it's just, I feel like the stakes kept like this is the most important battle of our lifetime. But like everybody kept saying that, so it was just like for every single scenario, this was like haha, they're doing their military thing, but we can counter it by doing this military thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess speaking of the military stuff, or the more, I guess, contemporary military stuff, I felt like that was the weirdest, most bizarre like segment just in general, was like after the like Tron stuff, there's like the weird like light ship that's like the light outlines kind of like the big Godzilla thingy.
Yeah.
And then there's the, you know, the Dark Emperor on the computer screen, and then the guy, like, you know, they break the screen, it's like, no, and they're like, yay, he's done, he's destroyed. And then it's like you cut back to Earth, and then it's just like this weird, like, little covert ops mission where it's like that little troop of guys that like go into like the sewer, and I think they like plant some bombs or something like that. And it's this weird little addendum of like the story is all wrapped up, and then there's like 3 minutes left in the movie, and we have this little like brief action scene where there's like no sci-fi elements. It's just like guns and tanks and like, you know, army camo stuff, and then like they blow up the bad guy's base or something, and then the robots are back and they're like, yay, and we will start a new universe or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, whatever. They wrap it up very quickly. I feel like one of the only plot threads that gets sort of like wrapped up is in one of those sequences with the neck goiter guy. Mm-hmm. Because he showed there. I feel like there's a scene earlier. It's almost they set something up and then like they pay it off. I think it's like maybe the only time it happens. Mm-hmm. I feel like he strikes a deal with one of the alien guys.
Yes. Oh,
early on.
Yeah.
And then the alien guy comes to him, and then he basically has him executed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then it's like I feel like the alien suggests that they make a certain move, and the neck goiter guy is just like, no, we could never do that. And then he's like, boys, get him. And then they kill him. And then I feel like he does the exact thing that the alien said to do. I'm like, well, then why did you kill this guy? I feel like he kills the alien and then is just like, aha, actually, we're going to do this. And it's like the exact same thing that the alien wanted to do. And I was like, then why did you kill him? There was no point in that.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, that's a thing that they set up at the beginning that sort of had a little payoff.
Had a continuation at least.
Yeah.
Had a conclusion. Payoff seems a little generous.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is there anything else we got?
I'm good. There's like no IMDb trivia at all.
Yeah.
Is there even a Wikipedia article for this?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't know.
No. Well, there's Phoenix Bot, Phoenix King.
Right, which is one of the things. It's insane to me that this movie has a 2.9 on IMDb. That's so high. That's
maybe
crazy.
Those 6-year-olds that I was talking about earlier, they like got IMDb accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you type in Space Thunder Kids into Wikipedia, the only thing that shows up are all of like the other films that had footage from it pulled to make Space Thunder Kids.
I'm gonna do Joseph Lai wiki. See if that comes up with anything. Wait. Oh, this might not
There's
be.
Joseph
this is not
Lai
right guy.
Chikong. Yeah, he's a politician.
Damn. Joseph Lai. Well, there's a French article. Hong Kong film producer. Maybe Godfrey Ho would be a better through line. I don't know. Oh, look at this. On his own Wikipedia page. Wow. It says Joseph Lai also distributed cartoons made in South Korea and contributed to the distribution of in the West of many Asian action films generally considered to be of poor quality or even as duds. Thanks for the shout out.
Look at that.
Oh my god, this is awesome. So Godfrey Ho's wiki page. Birth name, Ho Chu Kung. Okay. Nickname, he has about 20, and that's probably because he used fake names for all the different fucking movies that he showed out. Oh my god, buddy. see if he does again. He's doing a Jason Statham. Dang, found it in 73. I'm interested has IFD like ever made like original movies, or is it just, you know, just the hodgepodge shit? Yeah, no. That honestly, that kind of adds to like my fascination with these movies, is like it. And I'm not saying that, like, you know, we just did the hardest research you could ever do into this, so we didn't find anything, so nobody ever will. But I kind of like that it is muddy and, like, hard to find more information about this, because there's just, like, there's with the, you know, availability of information on the internet these days, it's like it's nice to have something that's like unanswerable, you know?
Yeah.
That you can't just find an easy
with most
solution
things
to,
you're
or
like
whatever.
2 clicks away from like finding your answer.
Yeah, and it adds this like mysticism to IFD, to Joseph Lai, and to Godfrey Ho, who are probably just, again, they're just cheapskates trying to like make a buck and trick people into thinking they're watching other movies. But it's just, I don't know, it makes it more fun. It's like why you can just all these questions you have about why did these happen like this? Who are these people? This guy who voices like 5 characters in this, who I've heard, who voices, maybe it's one of them, I don't know, maybe that's Joseph Lai, but like I hear that guy's voice in like every single one of these, and he just has kind of a very generic, it's kind of like, it's almost has a quality of Patrick Warburton, but like not as deep, not like not deep like that, but he kind of talks in that same manner where he kind of opens his mouth a lot when I feel like I've seen more movies with featuring that guy than like a lot of actors, like a lot of like famous actors. he's like a little celebrity to me.
Meanwhile, at the International Science Conference...
How can you say something is there when it is not?
Dr. Bruno, excuse me, but has there been any word yet?
Lieutenant Saga, you can take the Super Shark. And Lieutenant Tim.
Yeah, it's like with every answer, there's 15 other questions that sprout up. Because even looking this movie up sends you on a wormhole of just like this movie, but it's actually components from this movie. But then it's like you look at those movies and it's like, which are actually components of this movie from like a decade prior. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, the simple answer is probably that like these guys discovered like a little side hustle they could do in the 90s.
That's
where
a way to put it,
they could mass market, you know, make these like quick and dirty edits with like, you know, a dumb voice, like the Alvin Flang method.
Yeah.
Where like, you know, they just kind of get a guy to come in and like read a bunch of lines and and then just like you said, just basically trick people into like buying, you know, like you said, like, is your copy like a standalone copy, or was it part of like it's like 15 movies in one?
No, this is just Space Thunder Kids. It's just a thin slip. It was in like I got this and like most of the other ones that I have. I randomly found like 1 or 2 at some other point, but most all of them I got from like there was like a 50-cent bin at Walmart or something like that.
So yeah, a little aside, I was like up north camping with my family this weekend, and we went to the Walmart up in northern Michigan, and like of all the places, they still had like a decent amount of physical media. Which like the Meijer near us is completely eradicated. They don't have physical video games.
Wow.
There's like no PS5 games, no Switch games. Like they had movies briefly, but now it's entirely just like a wall of like Funko Pops and like Jason Voorhees figurines and like just like nerd memorabilia. But we went to this Walmart up north, and I found steelbooks of Brawl and Cell Block 99 and In the Lair of the White Worm that like
Whoa.
Bram Stoker. I was like, why are these of all places up here? But it made me nostalgic for those like $5 movie bins.
Yeah.
I used to be a $5 movie bin fiend. I
Yeah.
would search through like DVDs, CDs, like you could
Uh-huh.
find all sorts of shit.
Mhm.
But that was like a thing that I always remember from those was it would be like the family fun pack,
Mhm.
and it'd be like 10 movies in one. And I mean, I think a lot of the times it would be like live action. A lot of them were probably just like talking dog movies, like kind of like the shit you see at Redbox. Like it's like we got Christopher Lloyd for a single day of shooting, and he's in this movie. But it made me nostalgic for that because it's like you don't really see those anymore. It's like other than like your DVD copy, and I guess people uploading them to YouTube, it almost seems like a lost media. Like people don't buy those anymore. They don't really exist physically in the world. So it's like a lot of people will never see these unless like they got them as a kid because it's 50 cents. You're kind of maybe slightly into like anime, like you watch Toonami, so you're
That's
like
basically what it was. I was just like any sort of I think I could piece together at the time that like the front anime like picture did not match in the back, but I was like, oh, but it's like it looks like an old like Gundam anime. So even if it's not, even if it is kind of like, I wasn't expecting like top grade anime, but I was also not expecting this. I thought I was gonna get like a coherent story.
yeah.
But yeah, I was totally like, I like anime. I did get one of the collections, which was just like a adventure collection that had like 1 or 2 episodes from like a Superman cartoon from like the 40s or 50s, and then the rest of them were just like other cartoons that like I'd never heard of before. Maybe like maybe a Popeye or something like that. But most of the other ones are like single movies, because I have a fair amount of the ones that I listed. Like I have Protectors of Universe, Defenders of Space, this one, Space Transformers, Beauty and Warrior, which is not a giant robot anime, but it is a Joseph Lai animation, and it's fucking bizarre. It's so weird. I think that one's like Indian or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah. I think there's 1 or 2 more that I have. Forgive me for not remembering all the titles.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it's weird that a lot of those are probably lost to time unless you like find them on YouTube. Like they don't really exist physically anymore.
I know, and like you think of like even out of like whoever else would have bought these out of those bins so long ago. I don't know. I don't know if they there probably was other kids my age at the time who also thought the same thing, like, oh, a cool anime or whatever. But how many of them still have it,
Oh yeah.
There's I would say most people who bought this back in the day do not still own this.
Oh yeah. It either went in like the garage sale or like Goodwill. I bet you can find a shitload of those at like various Goodwills.
That'd be cool. So yeah. Okay.
Okay.
We good to go? Okay.
Yeah. Who's first?
I'll go first. I'm gonna have to feel my way through what I want to give it, because it is such, I mean, like all the stuff that we've talked about, it is such it's kind of like a special thing for me. But if I'm putting my judgment hat on, and we're being the adjudicators for like, is this fun to watch or is it just a slog? I think I lean dud I think I still lean dud because there is just
Yeah.
so much repeated animation, so much just nothing. And like the funny bit, like once you get over, so I mean you start it in the first few minutes, I feel like can be pretty entertaining simply because of just how atrocious the voice acting is.
Yeah.
So like, you know, that alone can be pretty funny, but once you get a few minutes into it, or maybe it's again because I've seen this a few times, and you kind of get past that and you just kind of like, yeah, the voice acting's bad. There's not a lot of like, you know, laughs per minute. There's certain bits.
Yeah.
There's the weird face animations. There's Kim Il-sung in there for some reason. There's not. It's like there's not nothing. It's just I don't think it makes up for the, like, you know, being forced to watch like literal like repeated frames like over and over again. And but I still think it's like a really fascinating thing, if only to me, you know. And it's something that like I will never get rid of, you know. I'll always have this DVD and the other ones. And if I were to recommend one, it would probably be Solar Adventure or Raiders of Galaxy. I think those are the ones where you are gonna get the most bang for your buck.
Okay.
Out of these, so yeah, and so on that scale, I know I'm like just really stretching this out now, but yeah, on our scale I would say dud, but like I'd almost still say to like check it out just on the basis of like the confusion factor to it is makes it engaging, I guess.
It's kind of like shit, I can't remember the movie we watched with Ethan after last season.
I had a feeling of that too. Yeah. Some kind of after last season vibes for sure. Yeah. So I don't know. In that sense, does it make it a spud? But I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of why I'm like I'm torn, because in that way it could be a spud, but if I gotta make my judgment call, I think I'll still lean dud.
Yeah. Can you imagine how cool after last season would be if halfway through they got into giant robot mech suits and fought they fought that digital guy that like with the knife?
Yeah.
They put their little USB chips on their neck and then it's just like
they're
robots.
Yeah, that would be awesome. There is one of these. I can't remember which one it is, but there is one of these where it is like live action and then animated, and there's like very little explanation as to why there's like an overlap.
That seems very
that is,
Smiling Friends, which I just watched the second season of that.
Oh, nice.
Like where they'll just like splice in like a live person, and like he's like they fire Tyler and he's just like a dude, you know?
Or there's the president character, or like ex-president or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Constantly covered in like barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. I do think that I do think I'm leaning more towards dud as well, simply because that like there are scenes that just drag on. And it's funny to complain about a scene dragging on for too long in a movie that's an hour and 20 minutes
I
long.
know,
like,
dude.
For all intents and purposes, we should love this because it's like tighter than a Titan 90, and yet because it's like you're constantly getting this whiplash of just like new characters, new scenario, new robots, new bad guys, new good guys. You never really the ground underneath you is constantly shifting.
Yeah.
And you have to by the time that you get to reorient yourself, you've moved on to new characters and it's just like the cycle begins again. But I I do see this as like a curiosity that I cannot say like don't watch this. Like it's bad for sure. It's bad and it's weird, and like the weirdness and the badness outweigh the funny moments, which there are a handful of funny moments. All that being said, I don't think I would like not recommend it to somebody. I think these types of movies are interesting. Their history is interesting with like various like hustlers in the 90s piecing together these various bits from other movies and trying to like, yeah, here you go, Space Thunder Kids, why not, who cares? I think as a curiosity, I think they're at least worth watching at least once to be like, hey, I bet you've never experienced anything like this before.
Yeah.
So it's a dud, but there are some pretty funny moments that I genuinely laughed out loud at. Watch it at 1.5 speed and it kind of becomes
Probably
a YouTube
help,
poop.
yeah.
So like do that also, and it's like it's pretty entertaining that way as well. There was a letterbox review that I liked from Ascal Aphid, ASC, I don't know. He rated it 1.5 star and he said, "This gave me radiation poisoning. Next time I host a party and someone gets too drunk to drive home, I'm going to tuck them into a couch and put this on the TV because I'm a terrible friend." This is like something that like you'd go to a house party. God, what was that? What was on the TV when we were at Mitch's place in northern Michigan?
That was Blazing Saddles.
Like it was like this house party where there's just constant noise, people are drunk, and we just sat on the couch and watched silently Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there was any audio at all, and we just kind of sat there.
Yeah.
That's how this movie needs to be taken in. So you need to be like near blackout drunk, sitting on a couch at a party at someone's house that you don't know, and this is just on the TV.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to consume this movie.
That'd be crazy. But you're probably right.
From nuclear weapons to digital watches.
That's what it is. Okay.
I found it. Yeah.
It probably would, like, in a way, be more coherent if you couldn't hear what anyone was saying.
Yeah.
I guess the hit of the summer, one of the hits of the summer, I saw Twisters, sequel to the movie from the 90s of the almost same name. And I liked it a lot. It like if you're in that mindset of it being like a Twister sequel, it's kind of like that. I think it really like emulates that vibe really well. Like it feels and I don't actually know what the budget of it was, but people always say that there's no like mid-budget action movie anymore, and that's like totally what this felt like top to bottom. It felt just like straight out of the 90s pretty much, but not like
Nice.
It was not in the way. It didn't feel not modern either. It didn't feel like straight out of the 90s as like nostalgia bait in the way that Stranger Things is, or something like remember the 80s, remember the 90s, because it is set in the present day and everything. But it just kind of captures that vibe. Just kind of like, yeah, the story's kind of dumb. The characters are very like, the way that it's written is very like melodramatic, which the first one is too. But you just roll with it and you have a good time. And like the storm sequences are really intense. The characters are, it doesn't have quite the cast that the original one does.
That is like the thing that I love about the original Twister, is that it is like character actor the movie.
Yeah. And we we watched this one, and then the whole time I was thinking, I was like, man, I really want to watch that first one again. So we came home and immediately watched the first one, and yeah, it's like I knew that there was like people in it, but it's like every face in that is recognizable. It's crazy.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, this one isn't quite that, but maybe that's because maybe in 10 years time you'll look back at this movie and you'll be like, oh my god, it's that guy, it's that guy.
Right.
But like the three main people, you like I know from stuff.
Right.
And they're all really likable. And like I appreciate that like they're like likable characters. And you like seeing them succeed. It's just nice to see. It's one of those that kind of just like, it's nothing like groundbreaking or like this is gonna change cinema, but it's like it just does basic movie things right enough to where you're like, this is a good movie. It's entertaining. It hits all the right notes. So it's like it's a good crowd pleaser, and it just does the things right that it would be nice if more movies did.
It's like totally, it should be totally unremarkable.
Right.
But compared to like, a lot of movies that come out that like just aren't very good, you're like, oh shit, it's doing all of the things right that it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it more or less plays like exactly how you think it will be. Like, you kind of know where the story's going to go, like romantically, that there's like a romance subplot. There's like where the main stuff, like the storm's going to go. And it kind of plays out like that more or less, but you're still like, cool, nice. Cause it's fun. It's
like, it's a, it's like a comfort movie, if you will, or like a comfort show where you're just like, it's predictable, but it's like sometimes that like comfort and predictability is good enough.
Yeah.
Like, not everything has to be like the most groundbreaking movie of all time. Like, you can just like you said, like the mid-budget action movie, or like the sort of like popcorn movie. Like it doesn't have to cost like $500 million. Like I mean, if you want to say like Marvel movies or like popcorn movies, I think you can make an argument there that it's just like it's very like it's a highly produced thing for like the masses or whatever. But yeah, this is just like mid-budget popcorn flick that does what it needs to, and it's like, I feel like that's kind of a scarcity.
Yeah nowadays. It's just nice that like it like I don't know how many movies there are like this that have like these like super late sequels that I feel like just feel so naturally like you could just watch the two, like do like a double feature of the two, and and it's not even like, it's not the same characters or anything. I mean, sadly, two of the best actors in the first one are no longer with us, even though Aunt Meg, she's still around. I was like, oh, she could make a cameo appearance.
Get Alan Ruck. Succession's over. What's he doing?
Or Helen Hunt. I mean,
but maybe if they did that, it would be too much like the Ghostbusters revival movies are like bringing back Bill Murray for those. Didn't like Sam Neill come back for one of the Jurassic World movies?
I think for the last one they brought back like all of them, like Laura Dern, Jeff Goldblum, and Sam Neill.
Where it's like I kind of respect this movie for not like having any sort of like tie into the old one. Because I feel like that is a trap of like doing a nostalgia bait movie, and then it's just like remember. I mean, that's like the Red Letter Media bait. Just like, because remember, know.
I think I do like that it is just kind of its own thing. But there is one character part that really feels like it was meant for somebody from the original one, but then they asked that person and they were like, no. So then they just kind of like, it really feels like it was written to be one of the characters, but then they couldn't get the actor or whatever.
Interesting. Okay.
And like, so in retrospect, because of that, it kind of feels weird that it's not them, because it's like they didn't, I don't know how to like explain it without like, if you haven't like seen it, like if you don't like know what I'm talking about or whatever, but it just, it really feels like it should be that person. And it's like, if they didn't, if they just, I kind of wish that like, if that is that, I'm just theorizing, but again, it really feels like it was written for somebody. I kind of wish like, if they, you know, say they wrote that, they went to the actor and they were like, no, I don't want to do it. And then they like rewrote it to just be like, okay, well, we're going to kind of keep the same essence of that, but we're going to like change it so it's not the same. It would, that absence would feel a lot less there, and I don't think it would bother me as much, but it's just because of that. It's just because it feels like it should be that that's what's making me want them to have the like tie-in or whatever.
Yeah.
But other than that moment, yes, I agree, and like I kind of like that it's just, you know, its own thing. New characters and all that.
Maybe Glenn Powell is maybe I feel like Glenn Powell might be a new like a new movie star. Because I feel like that's I feel like I've seen that opinion before where it's like, we don't have movie stars anymore. Like your Brad Pitts or Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, they're still active, but like they're getting older.
Yeah.
Where like I feel like Glenn Powell is one of those guys that can kind of adapt to kind of any type of role. Or like he's a pretty adaptable guy. So
yeah.
And also, I mean, I haven't seen it, but he was in Top Gun Maverick, which is another late in its life, you know, sort of an installment that overall worked very well and people liked.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I would almost put that, like, I was like thinking of like, oh, that's like a late sequel that's really good, but the only difference there is I think the first Top Gun sucks and it's really boring. So it's just the second one that's good. Whereas like I like both of the Twister movies. No, I thought that before, but definitely with this is like he's like the perfect person to cast in the Twister sequel, because he just has that like classic movie star vibe about him. Like he feels like he could have fit right into the original one. And same thing with Top Gun Maverick. It's like, yeah, like he's obviously supposed to be like Val Kilmer's part from the original one, and it's like it works. He's like perfectly cast for that. So, yeah, and I just I like him in like everything I've seen him in too. So, you know, I was like seeing him pop up. So there's that little bonus too, but. Besides
he was
that,
the best part of that Sydney Sweeney movie.
Which one was that?
The Anyone But You.
Oh,
that,
yeah,
like,
I forgot about that one. Yeah, I forgot about that one. I watched the what was the one I watched? Oh, I watched Hitman. That was like a different rom-com he was in this year, the Linklater movie. That was fun. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, I still need to watch that one.
That's a little kind of different role for him, but it was fun. It's a total like She's All That thing with him, where it's like he's like supposed to be like this, I can't remember what he does. He's like some like office worker, but he also volunteers for the local police department, and so he wears glasses and like tucks his button-up shirt into his like khaki pants, and he might even have like a fanny pack, and then but then he has to like impersonate hitmen, and he's like takes his glasses off and he's like, oh, he's hot now.
Yeah, you're like, whoa, I never would have guessed.
Yeah. But yeah, it's fun, you know. If you like the original Twister, I think you'll like this one. That's all I could say. We're gonna actually go see it in IMAX tomorrow too.
Oh, nice.
I think
Yeah, I think we're definitely gonna try and see it. I think this coming weekend. I don't know if it'll still be in IMAX by then, but
I don't know.
we're definitely gonna try and catch it.
Nice. Cool.
Speaking of catching things, I caught a new movie as well. One that was, yes, one that was probably one of the strongest marketing campaigns I've seen for a movie in a long time. To the point
It
where in the
obviously
lead up,
worked too.
yeah, it did work, to varying degrees, I would say. It's I think the response has been pretty divided.
Yeah.
I am talking about Longlegs, the new Osgood Perkins movie, star of Quigley, director of The Black Coat's Daughter, Nicolas Cage, Micah Monroe.
Yep.
Yeah, it was, sort of billed as like you're gonna shit and piss your pants, the movie. Like, all of the marketing for it looked terrifying. It was very mysterious. You didn't really know what the premise of the movie was at all. You kind of it drew early comparisons to like The Silence of the Lambs or like Seven, like that style. So we saw it, and I gave it a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. There was some stuff that I liked quite a bit, but overall, some of it kind of fell flat. I think the third act especially, there were like a few decisions that were made where it's like, I think you could have shown and not told. Like there's like some like kind of voiceover narration that I feel like over explains, like trust your audience. Trust the audience to like kind of piece things together, and I think it'll be far more effective than just like straight up telling, just like saying it with words.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be spoiler free and not
Sure.
like explain too much of like what the plot is, but I mean, the spoiler free version is, it's like there's a serial killer and Micah Monroe is a detective trying to find him, and then it's like who is this guy and how has he been doing these things, and like it's kind of, it's almost like a cat and mouse type thing, but it does have a very dreadful vibe to it. Like, there are a lot of shots where like it's one of those movies where you're kind of scanning the background at all times, because there are some like specific framings that they do where you will see like a wide open space behind a character, or like you'll be in like someone's house, and it'll be from the perspective of like someone will be like at a desk, and the camera will be it'll be like on the desk showing like everything behind them, and there'll be like an open door frame, and the whole time you're just like waiting,
something
watching.
Yeah.
You're like, just like, there are a lot of shots where you're just kind of like scanning, like just looking for anything out of the ordinary. Overall, yeah, I do want to say that I liked it, but I hate admitting that I got sucked into the marketing of the movie, because I feel like a movie that did that also was like Barbarian. That was like, the movie's
Very
terrifying.
minimal,
It's minimal trailers.
Yeah.
It's like, it's unlike anything you've ever seen. And like, we went to go that movie, and I thought that movie rocked. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
But this is like an example of that, where it didn't exactly hit the mark of like, the hype to like, scary ratio, I guess. And then I don't know, there were some stilted like dialogue too, where it was almost just like, I don't know, I don't want to say like Lynchian, because it didn't feel like intentional in the way that Lynch does dialogue sometimes, where it's like kind of oddball, weirdo, like oddity, like kind of like how Twin Peaks people talk to each other.
Sure. Yeah.
This just felt like, Have you heard people talk to each other before?
Mhm.
There's just like a few instances
It's
where
more
it was
like
just,
an M. Night
kinda-
Shyamalan.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly like that.
Okay. Which
But also, I'm a M Night apologist as of late. I've liked his last two movies, so
I was gonna say I'm actually like really excited for Trap.
I do want to. He's been like posting these things online that it's just like fun fact about Trapped. Like I shot it with like 70mm film stock or something like that. Like, he's been posting like fun facts about the movie.
That's cool.
But I mean, I still think yeah, definitely go see it. You know, I want to know what you think.
Yeah, I definitely still want to see it. Yeah. Still
Some
interested.
people, some people really like it. Other people are like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of polarizing, but I fell somewhere, I guess, in the middle.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's also become memed. It's been memed into oblivion, which is really annoying. Like it's already like they've taken bits and pieces because people bring their cameras into the movie theater and
I am aware.
and film stuff, and then it's just like I just see like full scenes from the movie on TikTok now, and it's Nicolas Cage's performance in this it's a very Nicolas Cage performance.
Okay. Cool.
But I do think people have turned it into a meme, which is kind of annoying.
Mm.
So there's that also. So I don't know.
I haven't seen any of those, but I do know that people bring their phones in to record scenes a lot.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
There was like some post that was going around on Twitter about that where it's just like, why do you hate that like people want to make memories? It's like, that's
not what it is. You can watch the movie again.
Yeah, exactly. But there's like someone was like, you capture a memory by actually having the experience, not using your phone in a movie theater. And then the person replied with, crazy people have different memory capacity, just like you can't focus on a movie instead of the people around you. And I was like, actually, it's ableist to tell me to not have my phone out during a movie. It's just like I'm neuroatypical, so I need to have my phone out during a movie to film it for TikTok. It's literally like the people that need Subway Surfers and like AI voice Reddit posts being read to them while they're watching a movie.
Yeah. I don't remember what it was, but I know one of the kids at work said that they watched a movie. I don't remember what it was, but they watched like a recent movie by watching it on TikTok, like in segments. Yeah. That's fucking bleak.
David Lynch would be like rolling in his grave.
If he was we can
dead.
kill him so he can roll in his grave.
on your telephone in 500 installments of 60 seconds.
Yeah, he doesn't even know. That's how somebody would like horrify him, is making a movie about that and then forcing him to watch it on TikTok.
Oh, you thought people watching the movie on their phone was bad.
Format it specifically for TikTok so that if you try to watch it any other way, it's like blown out and all weird.
But yes, go see Longlegs, go see Twisters.
Yeah. You know, since you mentioned Shyamalan too, I don't know if you had any interest, but I'm not gonna do like a full on thing, but I'll just shout out The Watchers, which was the feature debut by his daughter that came out a couple months ago. If you like, since I know like how you like Shyamalan stuff, it has the same like positives and negatives of like M. Night stuff. So I think you might like that one, like checking that one out too. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but it feels like, I feel like, I wonder if he like helped out with it more than, you know, than they let on or whatever.
Yeah.
It feels very much like one of his own movies.
Interesting. Yeah, I did see like some like movie posters for it, like at different like theaters that I was at. I wasn't sure if it was out.
Yeah, it came out in like May, I think. It didn't. I mean, I don't think it did like super well, but like honestly, I'd be interested if she got to make another movie off of it, because, you know, it was kind of fun. I enjoyed the mystery and everything. So yeah,
It's got the old lady from Mandy.
Oh, I know her as
and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's what I know her from. Yeah, and it's got speaking of Barbarian, Georgina Campbell's in it too.
Nice. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah. And speaking of stuff to check out, we got some movie recs for next week. We're already brought something. I know it's not. It's not a cup pull. Because I decided I used the excuse of it being one of these movies' centennials, and also I really want to like talk about this guy on the show, I guess. So we're gonna be watching 2 movies that total about the length of one movie. We're gonna be watching from 1924 and 1926, Sherlock Jr. and The General, both directed by Buster Keaton. The General is also co-directed by Clyde Bruckman. I think you can find both of them on YouTube or Tubi or something. They're pretty.
They're on Wikipedia.
They're on Wikipedia.
Yeah, the full movie. Well, I think just because they're in like public domain.
I was gonna say, yeah, they would have to be, because it's the 100th and then I guess 98th anniversary for The General. So yeah, it's. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, they're both in public domain by now. So there you go.
Plan 9 from Outer Space is also on Wikipedia in its entirety.
That's awesome. That's so neat. Yeah, cool. So watch those movies before the next episode if you don't want to be spoiled for them. These episodes,
100 years old movie.
Yeah. These movies come out Wednesdays at 7 p.m. EST on YouTube and possibly Twitch. In video form, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more in audio form. We also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And with all that said, fine, I'll do it, but for my own reasons and not yours. TJ, and with me as always.
As always, now that you're here,
I almost did that.
Now that you're here, let's see how good you really are.
And then do the Mr. Bean face. Yeah.
And I'm Nick.
And that's the ball game. Bye bye.
Yeah.